Good evening. Welcome to Cardiff City World and welcome to the breakdown with myself. I'm the boss man, Mr. Simon Willis, kind of letting me take the reins tonight because he's experiencing technical difficulties. I'll put that mildly, Simon. But how are we doing, my friend?
Yeah, great. Everything which couldn't fucking go wrong has gone wrong in the last couple of weeks, and
wait a minute.
I lost about $3,000 worth of equipment. So great.
Yes, which wasn't helped by last night's result, no doubt, buddy.
Mate, I went yesterday to my boy, and it was like, get out of the house, just chill out, think about something else, not be stressed, not be upset, and then just wheels come off, didn't they? About 40 minutes into it.
It was a difficult one last night because you kind of looking at the results. I don't know if you was doing the same, but you could see Huddersfield had gone 2-0 up. 40 minutes in, I think I wouldn't say cruise control, but we had the majority of possession last night. If anybody was going to score, I thought we would have scored first last night. And then they talk about red cards changing games, and couldn't have been further from the truth last night, could it really? It was spot on. It completely changed the game.
Yeah, and I thought the first sort of 25 minutes, I thought we were really good. I thought we were very good, actually. And then we kind of, just before the sending off, we almost it was too comfortable, and we just sort of eased off the gas a little bit, got a little bit sloppy with some of the passing. And then all of a sudden, like you say, he gets sent off. And I've seen people, some people have said to me, it's a definite sending off. I still haven't actually watched it back. But in real time, I just thought, like I said, bad yellow card, because it wasn't high and it wasn't like studs up or nothing. It was just fast and, aggressive or whatever. You could argue that he was out of control maybe, but I didn't think it was like reckless or dangerous or any of the usual stuff that they look for. But he couldn't wait to get his red card out. And the fact that he didn't book a Wycombe player until they celebrated their goal kind of tells a story in itself. I thought he was a very poor referee, but we did our own damage by not taking our chances. You think how clinical we were on Saturday, and then you look at similar sort of half chances or better, we didn't take them. And when you don't take your chances, you run the risk of something happening, whether it's a deflected goal or a sending off or just something, and it changes the whole game. And the sending off changed it, mate.
It did, mate. It did. It was not the greatest atmosphere last night. Never going to be on a Tuesday night, mate, is it? With, I think that was probably, I know they announced 16,500, I think it was last night, but there was nowhere near that there last night. It was quite disappointing from my point of view.
Yeah, the midweek ones are always a bit like that, eh? But also, the start of the game, I thought the atmosphere was pretty good considering how empty it was. And I sort of said to Aidan said to me, it's louder than it was at the start of the Lincoln game. And I said, yeah, but it's also the ones who are there on a cold Tuesday night, if you like. It is the hardcore, and it's the ones who go every game, and it's the ones all the time. So they tend to be the most vocal, but it's just impossible, mate. With Sky showing all the League One games and all the Championship games, these midweek games, these lunchtime kickoffs, they just kill it, mate. Sky kills it. And don't get me wrong, if you working or you don't have the money or whatever reason it is you cannot go, the fact that the majority of the games are on Sky is great. But for the atmosphere and the match going fans and whatever, and in terms of the club making money and the rest of it, Sky is killing football crowds,
Yeah. I want to go back to obviously the Osho red card then, because as I was walking out the ground, I heard a Cardiff City fan shout, "He should never play for the club again." I think that was probably a bit extreme, and I know this is something you suffer with in the sense that emotions run high straight away after the game. Is that a bit of a wild statement for you?
A few people have said it to me, in the comments and in person and text and that. I think, look, I understand people who say you can't trust him for the rest of the season. I do get that. Like, I think that's a fair analysis of what he's done this season. When he's been good, he's been very good. But he has cost us goals, chances. He's been sent off a couple of times. He's got a rash decision in him. And I think before this weekend, if you'd have asked me, like, who do I want to see playing centre-back? Well, I want to see Dylan Lawler and Will Fisher. I've been very consistent with that. I think it's the best combination. However, I understand the manager doesn't like it as much as what perhaps the fans do, because it means you've got to play Dylan on the left. I kind of get that, so that's okay. Then Osho, when he's at his best, alongside Lawler, is probably, from a talent point of view, our best combination. However, when you put all four individually, he is the one who's got a rash decision in him. I think saying he should never play for Cardiff City again is extreme. And I think, look, I get it. Like, everyone's emotional after games and you're frustrated because it's another game, and it's quite a few close together now where you've come away and you're like, how the fuck have we lost that game? Like, and I really felt that. You know, the Lincoln one, I came away thinking they did a job on us and we weren't at our best. The Plymouth game, we were all over the shop defensively. But yesterday, I came away just thinking, you got to be ruthless. Like, and you have to be ruthless and clinical, because the results went our way yesterday. If you say our chances in the first 20 minutes, go a couple up, we cruise, we win. Even if it's sending off, you know, 2-0 up, we just keep the ball and we just hit them on the break and pick them off and that. And then you go and you're like, you know, you could be top. If we'd won last night, we could have been top of the league by lunchtime on Saturday, because we played before Lincoln. So it does feel like a missed opportunity, and can't deny that sending off has cost us. But we didn't lose just because of the sending off. We lost because we didn't take our chances. I think I admire the manager's approach in many ways. And even yesterday, like, I've seen a lot of people criticising his substitutes and his decisions, which I fully understand. If it comes off, though, we're calling him a genius. And, well, I'm sure we'll get into that side of it. But, like, yeah, look, in terms of Osho, of course, it's extreme saying that, you know, but people said that about other players earlier this season as well. And they've gone on and done, you know, really well. It's...
Yeah, I think if you look at the kind of grief Chambers went through, people didn't want him to wear a Cardiff shirt again. And, you know, he's been, I wouldn't say he set the world alight, but he's been a lot better this season, more consistent. I know, obviously, the last few weeks he's been on the bench more than not, but he's been through it. So hopefully he's wrapping an arm around Osho's shoulder now and kind of helping him kind of through it, because it's going to be a tough time for him now, but I think.
Yeah, and look, and what I will say in his defence, I see a lot on social media, particularly saying about him, like, he's always smiling. So he makes a mistake and he's smiling. He comes off, sent off, and he's smiling. I just think it's his personality. Like, he's a guy that lives life and plays with a smile on his face, realises the privilege he's in playing football for a living. And I just think he's one of these guys who just wants to see the positive, like, do you know what I mean? Like, wants to experience everything and enjoy it. I don't really hold that against him, like, ultimately. And I also think there's probably an element of disbelief, and he couldn't believe it, because I don't think he was expecting a red card when he made that challenge, or after he's made the challenge, and the ref was almost falling over himself to bring out the red card. Like, and do you think it was a red card, mate?
Again, I haven't seen the replay myself, mate, and obviously it was more in the canter.
In the moment, did you think it was a red? When he made the challenge, were you like, oh, he's in trouble there? Because I wasn't. I didn't see.
Yeah.
I thought
I was looking at it straight on then from where I was sitting.
Yeah, of course.
And I just think the kind of gasp in the crowd kind of, yeah, you just...
The reaction from the bench as well, the Wycombe bench didn't help. They were on their feet and on the pitch. Like, they was...
you're going to be... We'd be exactly the same, say, if it was a
Of course,
Wycombe
yeah.
player lunging into a Cardiff player, wouldn't we? So, I think again, and I don't want to focus on it too much, but some of, like you alluded to earlier, some of the refereeing decisions last night, and it's just I just don't know, how's the standard supposed to get better, or how can it be improved?
Well, we get ref
crazy.
differently. I don't think that's even a debate anymore. We get ref differently to the rest of the league. There was a tackle in a Bradford game on Ashford when he was through on goal, albeit he was on halfway. Similar area of the pitch, actually, to the Osho one. The only difference was Keane was through. Like, there was no one. Like, we were on the break, and the Bradford defender tackles him from behind, studs up on the back of the leg, and got a yellow card. Osho tackles low with his feet on the floor, no studs up, with players around him, players not going in on goal, and it's a red card with the ref indicating that he had his studs up and the rest of it. It's bollocks, mate, and it's a real problem because it's not just this one incident. If we go back through all the games, I'm sure that most Cardiff fans can find 8, 9, 10 examples of something being given against us and the opposite not even being a foul, let alone, a yellow card or a red card or whatever. Like, it's outrageous. I thought we should have had a penalty in the first half. We had a corner and the guy he wasn't even looking at it, but he just rugby spear tackled him on the floor. And the ref's looking at it because he just warned them, keep your hands to yourself. Nothing. And I find it real difficult, mate. I got to be honest.
Something that made me laugh, and obviously I don't know if you would have noticed it from you were, but there was a member of Wycombe Wanderers coaching staff run around behind the goalkeeper.
Yeah,
put a note on the floor by the goalkeeper's water bottle. I think the referee warned him the first time, but he went back round, put a note there. Shouldn't be happening. Should
I tell you why I don't mind it? Because about 3 or 4 times this season, the message was to go long and stop playing out from the back of goal kicks because we kept winning the ball back. Other teams, including, who was it? Barnsley, maybe at home. They tell the keeper to go down with an injury, and then they have like a full tactical meeting on the side of the pitch to change whatever they want to change. So I don't mind that. Now, should they be doing it? No, they shouldn't. But I'd rather them do that than fake an injury, stop the whole game, and have a fucking timeout like it's American football. So I see, like, they shouldn't be doing it. But I'm fed up of seeing keepers go down to have a timeout. And I've got a video on my channel, which is all written. I've just got to film it about it because there's so many examples of it across all of football. And I really hate it because one day a keeper will go down and he will actually be injured and no one will give a fuck because people are fed up of it.
Does anybody when an opposing goalkeeper goes down anyway?
No, but you know what I mean? If someone goes down like off the ball, like out of the blue, it can sometimes be concerning, can't it? Because we've seen famous incidents of people sort of having heart problems or whatever it may be. And I just think, like, you don't have timeouts in football. So if you've got to make a change, you either make it from the sideline or when the ball's out of play, or you wait till half time. Tough shit. You got it wrong. Deal with
Something's
it.
Something's got to be changed, even if it's
you don't get to stop the game, do you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a difficult one, isn't it? And how are they going to manage it? I don't know. But I just wanted to run through the lineup quickly, mate, just to see if there was any shocks there for you yesterday. Obviously, Nathan Trott was in goals. Bagan, Osho, Lola, NG in defence. Wintle, Robertson, Ashford, Colwell, Tanner, and Kellyman. Any surprises there for you when you've seen that team sheet out last night?
I was pleasantly surprised that he played the same 11, if I'm honest, because it's the first time he's done it. But I also thought yesterday showed why he doesn't do it, particularly when you got games close together, because I thought Kellyman looked fucked after about 40 minutes. Now, not criticising him for that, by the way, because he does a lot of running, Kellyman does. He does what Ruben was doing at the start of the season, chasing down all the lost causes, trying to block the keeper. But you could certainly see within the team why he likes to rotate, because I did think we looked a little bit leggy. Obviously, as the game went on after the sending off, they're all going to look tired, didn't they? Because the covering for the extra man. But in terms of the lineup, maybe no. I honestly, that was pretty much the team I would have picked. I think, maybe there's an argument you could try and get Joel in there, but I thought that 11 was so good on Saturday that I felt that it was the right decision to play it. And even now, with hindsight, it's easy to do it after, isn't it? But I did think it was the right decision to play the 11. So I don't think you can criticise the manager for that element of it, really.
Yeah, no, I get it. Something that frustrated me a lot yesterday was, I think Tanner's final ball needs a lot of work. I know we've had a lot of assists since he's come back, but the amount of times Ruben went over to play triangles in the corner, and then we're trying to get balls in, and there's no one in there then. Ruben's not renowned for, his heading prowess. I know he scored one the other day, but it was frustrating me. We were going over into the corner, playing tippy-tappy football in the corner, triangles or whatever, trying to cross the ball in, and then there's no one in there.
Yeah, well, I mean, Kellyman's supposed to be in there, once that pattern happens. But I think the other side of it is with Tanner, he seems to always want an extra touch to set himself before he shoots or before he passes. And there was a couple where they played like a nice bit of football. It went out to Tanner. He was one-on-one with his fullback. He cut inside or he went outside, and Ruben was there. And it was like, right, roll it to him now, and he's going to get a shot off first time. But he then wanted that extra touch, and he got dispossessed, or the cross got blocked, and it was just that split second. But as I say all the time, mate, is these players, if they made the right decision with their final ball or final decision every time, they wouldn't be playing in League One, mate. Is ultimately the answer, isn't it? That's going to be the thing, is decision making, or whatever it may be, finishing. There's always going to be something.
So do you think an element of that now is that some of the players maybe are starting to feel a bit of the pressure, do you think? The other week I was starting to think it might be a pressure thing. I actually think it's a fatigue thing more than a pressure thing. I look at Ollie Tanner. He's started every single game since he's come back from injury. I know he comes off a lot, but I did wonder before the game if there was. So he was the one I was toying with in the previews. I was like, could you move Ashford over to the right and bring Scanlon in for an hour on the left, and then bring Tanner in, sort of thing. But look, Tanner's getting all these assists, so you understand why he's playing, and I think he's been very, very good. I just thought yesterday he just seemed to want that extra touch all the time, and that extra touch kind of just it kills the angle, or it allows the fullback to put a bit of pressure on you, or block across, whatever it may be. But in my opinion, he's not the only one either. We're still reluctant to pull that trigger. We're always looking for that extra pass when we're in that final third. I know we've scored a couple of worldies. Chambers have scored a couple of good goals, and Robinson scored that cracker on the weekend. But you still sat there screaming at times, have a go, put your foot through it. Kellyman's quick off a mark, rebounds and that. I just think, have a go.
Yeah, there was a couple yesterday where it kind of opened up, didn't it? There was Alex had one actually in the second half where it almost fell to him in the same position where he scored on the weekend, and you right behind it, and I thought, go on, just whip it. And he went for a pass. We're down to 10 men, so maybe they want to try and keep the ball. But I look at Robertson, and I look at Ruben, and I look at Kellyman, Chambers, whoever, even Willock. These are all guys who are pretty good at shooting from the edge of the box. And Ruben had a couple in the first half where he dropped his shoulder and got the angle. 30 yards out, 25 yards out. It's got to be something special. But we've seen him do it so many times. You're thinking, have a go. And then Willock in the second half, the amount of times he cut in, and it was just there for him to go, that little curler into the far post, and again, wanted extra touches. And I wasn't massively impressed with Willock yesterday at all, again, he was in such good form, and he seems to be a player whose confidence just fluctuates like night and day all the time.
I thought he looked dangerous when he had the ball at his feet until he got to that final third or had to make that final decision. And like you said, making the wrong decisions end for me, really. He's quick with the ball at his feet. And I thought he looked dangerous when he had it. But then just, I suppose, the final decisions let him down then, I suppose, yesterday. But
yeah, it was weird. Like, I think Willock links up really well with Joel Bagan. Like, really, like, he's got a very good understanding of when to play it into Joel and when to cut in. And Scanlon made a couple of great runs inside and outside of him, and he didn't give it to him. And look, sometimes you use it as a bit of a decoy.
Yeah.
But again, just decision making. But it's also, I think it was hard for people like Willock in the second half because they've spent all season, all pre-season, all training sessions drilled into them, pressing, counter-pressing, go put pressure on the opponent, be aggressive, be aggressive. Willock comes on, he goes to press, and BBM's telling him, no, you got to, like, because we got 10 men, so you got to hold your position. So I do think that was a bit difficult for some of those players because they've literally had it drummed into them to go press. And we weren't pressing in the second half, and which I understand, of course, but it's, they're human beings, mate, at the end of the day. They're just not robots. And I think sometimes people forget that. They just expect them to turn up and just perform to this unbelievable level every week. It's like they're not robots, and they feel pressure, they feel injuries, they feel contact, they feel the emotion of being down to 10 men, and they have adrenaline spikes. There's so many different things that come into like a football match. I don't know. People lose their minds. I can't believe there's people questioning Trot, mate, but
Yeah, we'll come on to that now. I'll dip into the questions, but before we go into the questions, there's plenty in there to keep us ticking over. Normally, international breaks, I can't stand it. Does my head in. But I think it's coming at the right time now for me. It gives us a chance to kind of, sit back, reflect, and reset, really, I think. What's your opinion on the international break coming up? Coming at the right time?
I think it's perfect, mate, because you know what? Isaac and Salich are back. That's the big thing for me. Isaac, like yesterday, a lot of people pointed to, we could have done with Salich with 10 men, blah, blah, blah. Isaac was the one we missed because you could have stuck him up front or where Ruben was playing, because Ruben was trying to play up front and in midfield. And like, no matter who you are, no matter how much you want to do it, it's physically impossible to be in two places at once. And if you've got Isaac there, you can just put him there and or even put him on a wing. He'll do the defensive work, but then you can just chuck it over the top and his pace will do the rest. You saw what Kean did in the second half when Bagan clipped it over the top of the fullback, and I thought that was in. I did. And by the way, I just want to address this. There's a gentleman in the comments on one of the videos last night or this morning saying that Kean was terrible yesterday. And look, everyone's opinion is welcome, even wrong opinions. Like, I thought Kean Ashford was our best player yesterday. I thought he was absolutely outstanding. I thought he was probably our best player on Saturday as well. And I'm surprised by the criticism which he takes. Like, I welcome all opinions, mate, but some opinions I don't understand. And it's no offense to a guy. Like I said, I welcome everybody's opinions. Everybody sees it differently. But like, I just cannot, like, that blows my mind like that, because I thought Kean was so good yesterday.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with you. And there's a comment now as we come further down. I think somebody read off Twitter, so I'll read that out. But going back, and we'll jump into the comments. Say good evening to JT. Our Twitter fans are suggesting we drop Trot, which would be crazy. Give Tyra his minutes during pre-season. So, yeah, seems a bit bonkers.
Can you imagine, right, that on Saturday, in a must-win game against Blackpool, Brian Barry Murphy picks Harry Tyra because we lost with 10 men to Wycombe on Tuesday, and then he makes a mistake, we lose, Lincoln win, Bolton win, Bradford win. You imagine what everyone would say. There's no reason to drop Nathan Trott. In fact, Nathan Trott's distribution on Saturday and yesterday has improved drastically from where it has been of late. So the weakness in his game has been better. I'm not sure. I haven't seen the reverse angle of the goals, whether he should have saved them or not. I don't know. But what I will say is, from where I was sat, nothing about yesterday was on Nathan Trott. Not one thing. But I haven't seen the goals from behind the goal, so I don't know.
Darren, good evening, my friend. Cardiff win on Saturday against Blackpool. Yours hoping. Graham says, ironic, waiting for Lincoln to slip up and City end up doing it. We Cardiff City, man, we're never going to do it the easy way. Never.
Isn't it mad, though, right? The team like Bolton and Bradford been waiting for us and Lincoln to slip up for months. And then last night, both of us slipped up. It could have, if Lincoln don't get the equaliser, we could have both lost finally, and Bolton didn't win again. And they're just running out of games, mate. Bolton are to chase us now.
Yeah, well, we're 10 points in front of Bolton, aren't we?
Yeah, with 8 to go.
With 8 games to go, so I think we need something like 14, 15 points, I think, to confirm it. So,
yeah. Mate, I can't wait for that Reading game.
Dan Lowe, good evening, buddy. The slander against Trott is ridiculous. Let's be fair, he was excelling the first half of the season, looked like a Premier League goalkeeper. He now looks a very good League One keeper. Trott is far from the issue, which kind of highlights what you've just said.
Just on that, mate, very, very quickly. Nathan Trott, do you know why Nathan Trott looked so good at the start of the season? Is because we were so open. So he was having to save shot after shot after shot, like one-on-ones, long shot. Like he was having to do so much work that he obviously did a very good job of keeping us in games. But as the season's gone on, we've addressed like that issue of being so open. So he's not having as much to do. Now, I think he's got 2 main weaknesses for me, and that's crosses. He's not terrible at them, but he sometimes looks like he gets bullied a little bit. And then his longer distribution. But his longer distribution has been a lot better recently. So, like, for me, I'm not sure what people are expecting,
Yeah. How much of an impact do you think it has on a goalkeeper, mate, having a different pairing in front of him week in, week out? I know, obviously, the last 2 games has been the same, but how do you think that's impacted him over the season?
I do think it's difficult, mate. I do think it's difficult because, I say this again, sound like a broken record, the most calm and considered and relaxed and high performance that we have looked all season is Trott, Bagan, Fish, Lawler, and Kapakio or NG. Whenever we played that back 5, we have just looked so composed and so solid because it's so balanced and it's like the right combination of players. Now, again, I understand, the reasons why and stuff. But as a keeper, my boy was a keeper, and it's repetitive. The repetitive side of it is what makes you good. Your ability to concentrate for long periods when you're not involved in the game, have nothing to do for 90 minutes, and then have to make a worldie of a save. You can't switch off for a second, but you might not touch the ball for the whole game. And it's very difficult, particularly when you're playing in a team that's at the top of the league. It doesn't lose loads of games, perhaps keeps hold of the ball a lot. Now, modern football's a little bit different because the keeper gets involved in the build-up. But, ultimately, I do think he'd rather have this, whoever the pairing is, rather have the same pairing all the time.
Yeah. Graham says Trott made some good saves yesterday. The goals we conceded are on our defence. Before I go through any more of the comments, I wanted to put this on you, and I think we discussed it briefly earlier, or you might have highlighted it slightly. If you was BBM at half-time yesterday, would you have switched it up? Or was you happy with Wintle where he was?
No, mate, the thing for me, and this I think is a big thing, is whenever we play Robertson and Wintle in midfield together, especially if we got Ruben in front, we dominate. We dominate possession. We dominate like everything, the reading of the game, the technical ability, sometimes the physicality. I thought Wycombe had quite a small midfield as well, and we just physically and technically dominated them with them three. So for me, the obvious thing was you had to sacrifice one of the forward players. So I would have switched to 4-4-1. I would have taken Tanner off at half time for Fish, or Chambers, whoever, one of the centre backs, put him in the back, put Kellyman up front on his own. And maybe you have to move Ruben over to the left for the time being, but he's going to drift, you know that. And then as the game would have gone on, I would have taken Kellyman off for Joel and probably moved Ruben then into the middle. Because I felt like even with 10 men, if we had Wintle and Robertson in midfield, we'd have still dominated the ball and the midfield, particularly if Ruben's knocking about in there as well. And when we take Wintle out of the midfield, we do struggle. So leaving him at centre-back, I admired the thought process. And when he came out at half-time with Wintle still there at centre-back, I was like, said to Aidan, I said, oh, that could work quite well because, you know, when we're defending, he'll be a centre-back. And then when we have the ball, he'll push up. But, of course, Dylan pushes up. And about 5 minutes into the second half, we had the ball right on the wing, like on the right-hand side, like right in the corner. And they all went together, all of them. And there was no one on the halfway line. And then they realised that one of them went back. But obviously Dylan's job as a centre-back is to go and get into the midfield and also almost become a midfielder in possession. So I think for Wintle to do that role, you needed it would have probably had to have been a Chambers or a Fish next to him. And then Wintle could have pushed up into midfield, you know, but he's not a defender. I saw some people criticising him for the goal, but he's a central midfielder. And if it had worked, mate, you know, if we'd won 3-1 or 3-0 or something, hitting him on the break, he's an absolute genius, mate, 100%. And, you know, it's like if Keane just slots that one in the corner and we go, I do feel if we scored first at any point in that game, I think we win. I really felt like that. And before the sending off, I thought, well, it's just a matter of time. But moments change games. But yeah, that's what I would have done. Some people will disagree, but I thought it was a game for Joel to come on for Kellyman. And I thought I would have kept Wintle and Robertson together for as long as possible. By the way, how good was Alex Robertson in the first half before the sending off? He's fucking ridiculous, mate. Some of the touches and the passes.
I'm sure he picked up a yellow card as well, or was it?
Yeah, straight after the sending off, he kind of had the ball. The guy got his body across him, and he had a choice of either letting him go or just bring him down. And he kind of just put his hands around his waist and brought him down like that.
Yeah, I was kind of a little bit concerned after that as well, then, because I know we've seen him come off earlier than he should have. I know he comes off quite regular as well. He doesn't kind of doesn't play many full 90s yet, does he? But yeah, I think he's been outstanding, mate, and it's great to see him come back to some kind of form. Obviously, didn't do the job for us last night, but
let me ask you a question then, Matt. Right? So there was 3 players who I thought were excellent yesterday for us, and I thought they epitomised everything about what this team is in terms of technical ability, commitment. They never gave up even when we were 2 down, didn't give up. And I thought they were absolutely outstanding. I thought they were a real example to other people in the team. This is what it's about. I wonder if you could tell me 3 players who fit that criteria from last night, or just guess who you think I think the 3 are.
Alex Robertson, Keane Ashford, and because I know you love him, Ruben Caldwell.
Yeah, spot on, mate. I thought Ruben Faye, don't get me wrong, Ruben Faye did a little bit as the game went on, but that was more because he was trying to be everywhere. Like he was trying to be a midfielder and a forward.
Yeah, I agree with you. But because he done so much last night, I think the last 20 or so minutes, again, I know you said Kellyman looked knackered after 40. I thought Ruben looked on his feet.
Yeah, well, he did, mate. Yeah, but particularly in the first half before the sending off, some of the skill, mate. And sometimes I think the people that are like in the Canton stand and the far end, like the opposite end to where they were attacking, they don't quite realise the close control. There was one where he was up against 3 defenders, and he kind of just done this like body feint, little sort of step over, and he just zigzagged through all 3 of them, and it was just like he's a special player, mate. And I don't really understand the people who give him hate. I'm not saying he's a perfect player, but by any means, but he's a very special player. And I thought on another night he would have, people would have been on the end of it, or they'd have found him when he was in some dangerous positions. But the same as Robertson, mate. Some of the balls Robertson played, there was one he plucked out of the air, it was so difficult to deal with, and he just took it down, and then outside of his right foot, just sort of pinged it across field to the left-hand side. Just the ability to do that, mate, and do it accurately. Yeah. I can't express how difficult that is. And they just do it like it's nothing. So, yeah, if we can get that. And then none of them gave up, Ashford and Ruben and Joel and that. They just didn't give up. Even at 2-0, they just kept going. I got a lot of time for that, because that bodes well for the difficult moments that we'll face in the future,
Yeah, 100%. On that, I think you alluded to this earlier. There was a comment on another video. Graham says he's seen a few people slag off Ashford. Graham thought he had a decent game.
It's mad, mate. I honestly thought he was excellent Saturday as well, mind. But look, everyone sees things differently, mate. There's people in the fan base who don't rate Ruben at all. There's people in the fan base who don't rate Salich. There's people in the fan base who don't rate Win. Everyone's got their favourites, if you like. Ultimately, for me, I want Cardiff City to win, and I want us to have the best possible players. But those homegrown players, particularly, but the young players as well. I will stick up for all of them all the time. I won't accept our own fans giving our young players unwarranted grief. But there's a difference between giving them grief or abuse and just analysing how they play. And I think if you analyse their performance, that's fine. So if you don't think Ashford played well yesterday, that's fine. If you're spouting shit saying Ian Ashford's not good enough and he's this and he's that, then that's where I've got a bit of an issue. By the way, I thought Ian Ashford should have been in the Wales squad, because I think he offers way more than Mark Harris. But that's just, again, it's a personal opinion, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. But there's we got 4 players in our Welsh squad now. If I'm being completely honest and selfish, I don't want any of them to play. Which is,
I know, it's a big game, isn't it? It's a playoff for the World Cup.
Yeah, my biggest concern is if we have a poor result there, are they gonna
have a knock on?
Yeah, is it? I don't know. It's just, and obviously if they lose the first game against Bosnia, we're playing the 3rd or 4th place playoff game anyway, and I think.
Yeah.
So it's a nothing game then. So hopefully we can do the business against Bosnia. If any of the guys manage to get minutes, hopefully they come through unscathed. But we'll wait and see.
I'm covering the World Cup. I got a sponsor for that, so I want Wales doing it. I don't want to be covering just England. I want to cover Wales and Scotland and do it all. But we'll see. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, that's all right. Bolton can only reach 90 points by winning all of the remaining 8 games. So that means 15 points for us to get promoted.
And
so 15 out of 24. Yeah, we'll piss out, won't we? Some of these refs have never played themselves. Why strong word and yellow? Salich gets back and we've got a B game.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it?
I think after January, we went on a bit of a run, didn't we? And we were scoring 3 or 4 goals. And we were all he's working at the moment. We're not missing Salich. Do you think now we kind of should have maybe have brought somebody in January, or do you think, let's not
It's
panic
so
station?
weird, mate. It's so weird, right? I take you back to the day of the Salich injury. And if you remember, I had like a direct thing into it. And so I was speaking to someone from the club and they were updating me throughout the day. And I did a video that night and said he's had the all clear. He'd be out for a couple of weeks. And it's weird, like, because on one hand, he had the all clear, like he didn't have a broken neck and stuff like that. But I think they didn't realize initially the amount of damage to his ligament, like neck ligament, because it's not something that is that common. However, by the end of January, I think they did know that, so they probably should have tried to get someone in. But come on now, right? Being honest, mate, who do you really think they could have got in on short notice who fits the manager's kind of profile of player, can like compress and perform to the way he wants? Like it's not Football Manager or FIFA where you can just go, I need a striker who can do this, this, and this. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not as easy as that. However, I will say I do think that once they knew he was going to be out for at least a month or two, there was only 3 months of the season left at that point. And was it January, February, March, April? Well, 3.5, 4 months, say. And if you knew he was going to be out for at least 2 of those, you probably got to look at something, haven't you? Even if it was, a wide player, because you can't get a centre forward you want, fine. Get a wide player and then play Isaac Davis through the middle. Obviously, they didn't know at that point that Isaac was going to pick up a hamstring injury after his concussion, but you get what I mean. Like, they should have addressed it.
We was having that decent run where we was picking up wins and we were scoring plenty of goals. So they probably thought, there's no need to kind of panic and get someone in if we've been able to perform kind of without them. But I think as it gets closer to the end now, hopefully, we'll be back now after the international break and, we can see us in to the end of the season. And
the other thing, mate, as well is like, if you compare our goal scoring records with and without him, we scored a shitload of goals without him. Now, that's not me saying that we're better without him. I'm saying we scored a shitload of goals without him. We played a different way. We found a different way of playing, different system. But God, in some of these games, whether it was from the start or off the bench, we could have half done with him. What an option he would have been. Because unfortunately, like Callum Robinson, for whatever reason, the manager doesn't seem to quite fancy him. But equally, like I see a lot of people calling for Callum to start. And I can't really argue for him not to start. Like I feel like he's probably due a start. But I do think that we don't look as slick with him in the team, is what I would say.
With you, I just don't think he kind of fits that kind of the way BBM's, unfortunately. And, he's been a legend for us and I love the bloke. But for whatever reason, his face don't seem to kind of fit the way we're kind of playing at the moment, which,
What he does have, though, Matt, sorry to interrupt you, mate. What he does have is he has a knack of being in the right place at the right time to score goals. And I do think that's a trait that is very underrated in football. However, at this stage of his career, I think someone said the other day he's had the equivalent of 12 games in terms of minutes. Now, I know he can't play 3 times a week or 2 times a week because of his Achilles. I get that. But he, at this stage of his career, he would have wanted to be playing much more than that. And I think there'll be a decision for him and the club and people in the summer. Look, I would consider giving him a start against Blackpool on the weekend because I think we could probably do with some fresh legs.
Yeah, no, I would tend to agree with that as well. Right, let's fly through some of these comments.
Go on, mate.
There's loads in it. Lasky, good evening, my friend. Fish just hasn't really had any major mistakes this year that I can remember.
Sorry, I missed the last bit of that, mate, then.
Reese said, Will Fish just hasn't really had any major mistakes this year that Reese can remember. My memory's
Yeah, mate. Yeah, mate. I think I said when we're playing week in, week out, I thought he was the best centre back in the league. Like I even put him above Dylan because he played more regular. And people forget, like, Will Fish is 22. Like, he's a big lad. He's a real big mix of a modern centre back on the ball and a old school, put your body on the line sort of centre back. I really like him, and I think him and Dylan will be our centre back pairing for the foreseeable future if we can
keep hold of Dylan.
We will keep hold of Dylan and make a decision on, or sacrifice, I don't know, whatever you want to say, to like get one of them's got to play on the left. Like, but I think that's more of a manager issue than a player issue.
Yeah. Reese also says Dylan, Osho, and Chambers all have had moments, but Dylan gives us so much on the ball that he's well worth having in the lineup. If fit, he starts for me, 100%.
Yeah, Dylan. If Dylan Lawler's fit, he should be starting. There's no argument.
And I'm not scrutinising him, but he did get caught out a couple of times last night, didn't he? Trying to take the ball up, and
yeah, I said in the post match, or I said post match order 5 things earlier. Like, he was trying to force it, wasn't he? Because he knew we were down to 10. Instead of just building up normally, he tried to create something, and that's normal for that sort of situation, particularly when you're young and you're one of the better players. You feel like it's on you to do it. Like, not the worst trait to have, though, either.
No. How many games will Osho miss? So straight red it was, wasn't it? Did you get 3 for that?
Yeah, it'd be violent conduct, straight red. And like I said, mate, at the end of the day, right, whether I think it's a red or people don't think it's a red, it was the stupidity of it gave the referee a decision to make. And this referee, someone just put it in the comments, this referee has given 87 cards this year. And those players would have known that before the game. So it's a ridiculous decision.
Yeah. A couple of people saying it was less of a red than the one Winter lad for the elbow against Stockport.
Oh, mate, don't even get me started on that one, because an elbow is not a legal thing, is it? Like an elbow to the side of the face, when not shoulder to shoulder or anything like that, that's not a thing where it's just a booking. That my head in that did. Someone just asked, I can't see who it is, but said, what's a bad yellow? What I meant by that was, I thought, and I've only seen it in real time, I will say, what I thought it wasn't studs up, it wasn't like knee high or anything like that. It was just a really fast, firm tackle, and he was probably out of control. So I thought it was a yellow card, and you're very lucky to stay on the pitch, sort of thing. Like, give him a real stern warning with the yellow card, and sort of say, like, anything else and you will go. But I also, from what people have said, some people think it was a red. So I'm just fed up of, for us it's a red, but for other teams, they seem to get away with murder. Like,
yeah, here's an interesting one, Graham. I don't think Kellyman and Ruben together works, and I think Robbo deserves a start. He's getting goals.
Well, it's a question for you, right? Did you not think Ruben and Kellyman worked on Saturday?
4-0.
Because I thought they linked up really well on Saturday. Like, some of the triangles and 1-2s with them two and Tanner was unreal. I thought they linked up really well yesterday in the first half. Like, it changed in the second half. Like, it was a completely different, tactical game. There was no pressing.
Wycombe had more of the ball second half, didn't they? And we didn't press. And I was sat there thinking, the only way we're going to win this now is catching them on the break. And like you said, when Ashford went down our left-hand side after that
was the one, wasn't
it? Yeah, it was bonkers. But when it's not going for you, it's not going for you, buddy.
100%, mate.
Bob Bank says Wintle has been brilliant this season, but we should have subbed a centre back on.
Yeah, 100%. He's not like we should have kept. I felt we should have kept Robertson, Wintle, and Colwell together in the middle. Brought a centre back on, and I think we'd have been all right with that.
Darren Jamieson says we just need Salich back. Don't think he'd be back for Saturday though, will he?
No, I think from what I've heard, I had spoke to someone yesterday, and they said both Isaac and Salich should be back for the first game after international break. I don't know in what form, whether that's on the bench or whether they'll even be picked. That was what I was told. So fingers crossed, mate. And look, he does it. Even if Salich doesn't start, mate, if you can give him 10 minutes, it just is such a difference. Same with Isaac, mind. I think Isaac would have made a massive difference yesterday.
Yeah, it'd be good to get him back fit as well now for the last few games. Dan Lowe says, Robertson and Lola, very impressive yesterday for me. Robertson just glided and his control and passing is class. We need to make him a key part of everything in these final few games. So on that, I know obviously Robertson was on corner duty one side, Tanner on the other. Is our delivery for set piece good enough?
I think it's all right from one side. But yes. I don't know why we took Bagan off corners. Bagan was doing a great job on the right-hand side with the in-swingers. We scored a couple of goals from it. Fish scored a couple, Chambers, and I think Salich as well scored. But he was whipping him in at the start of the season off the right. Yeah. I would take Tanner off corners on the right. I also think Tanner can be quite dangerous on the edge of the box when it gets cleared. Here's a shout for you then, mate. My boy thinks Alex Robertson should be captain next year. It's outside of the box, wouldn't it?
Yes, I suppose, you would think if Chambers moves on, and obviously, I don't know.
Look, I don't think he will be. I'm not saying I don't think he will be. I think Ruben will be the captain. I think that's pretty obvious, but it's just interesting because he's obviously a lot younger. It's one of them
ones where it wouldn't shock me or disappoint me if he was given it then, because I think maybe he leads by example, and I think he's been decent the last few weeks. In fairness,
I think he made a massive difference since he come back. We haven't been as open in midfield, like.
Geraint says Willock is a waste of time outside every time. One to offload at the end of the season. I know we're not going to worry about players that potentially there'll be another podcast, no doubt, between the start of the new season and the end of this one.
Mate, I'm sure we'll have about 60 million videos on who should stay, who should go, why, and conversation starters. But I will, like I said earlier, what I will say is I haven't been particularly impressed with him the last couple of games.
Yeah. David Turnbull failed to impress me again, says Dan Lowe. He had a purple patch around the Bradford game, but has gone back to being very lethargic and slow again, sadly.
It's a weird one, right? Because I understand why managers would bring him on in the situation yesterday. It's someone who's going to keep possession and keep control of the game. But to me, Joel Colwell offers so much more. And for whatever reason, since we switched to the false 9 system, I can't remember a time Joel playing in number 8. Whereas at the start of the season, he was our number 8. And it's a bit of a strange one, because I thought that game was made for Joel Colwell yesterday. You think when we were down to 10 men away from home, when we put that unbelievable performance in, Joel was just everywhere in that game. And it was like we didn't have 10 men because of him. So it was weird to me that he went for Turnbull and not Colwell in that position.
A couple of comments here relating to Cian Ashford. Cian is very much impressing me. I thought he looked very good when playing up top. Great outlet who holds it up pretty well for his size too. Clever with his body positioning. Did creep offside a couple of times yesterday, and I don't know how it makes you feel when a winger gets offside, because they're the ones with the best view across our line, isn't they?
Yeah, me and my son get really frustrated with Ollie sometimes because he's a bit slow coming back, and quite regularly is like he's lucky that he doesn't get called offside. Like, but yeah, they shouldn't, should they? Wingers shouldn't be being caught offside because they can see everything.
Yeah. There's another one here now with 4 more wins will give us 88 points. In order for Bolton and Bradford to overtake that total, they would both need to win all of their games. And obviously, we still need to play Bolton. That potentially, mate, could be a massive, massive game now come April, which I think they've changed that to a 12:30 kickoff as well, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
We won't say no more on that. The 12:30 kickoffs is fucking joke.
Yeah, God, do my head in, mate. It really, like, I 12:30 kickoffs just ruin it, don't I?
Yeah. Going back to Robinson, and Dan says, I've been quick to give Robinson stick this season, and maybe rightly so, but actually thought he had a pretty good cameo again when coming on. I just wondered if he should maybe get a start on Saturday. I tell you what, the games he've come on and he've scored, but what was the game he scored? I can't remember. Was it?
He scored against Doncaster and
the last one, and it looked really emotional. He looked really emotional, didn't he? After he scored,
that was Doncaster, that was, wasn't it?
And you just, yeah, I love him. I do, and if it is going to be his last season with us, nobody knows, but yeah, I wouldn't be against him having a go on the weekend.
Look, I've said many times, Callum Robinson, in my opinion, is the best finisher at the club. I think he's at his best when he plays on the shoulder of the defenders and looks to get in behind. But it doesn't seem like that's the way the manager wants him to play. He wants him to drop in and join the build-up and link things together. And I don't, like, he's very good at it now. Like, he's really improved that side of his game. But I just feel for that particular role, there's other players who are better at that bit, like the linking of play. Now, would I like to see him up front on the last man with like Ruben or Kerryman behind him, or even Joel behind him? Yes, I would. But I don't think they'll ask him to play that role on the last man. I think they'll ask him to drop in. And I don't think that gets the best out of him or the team. So it is a tricky one, but I would give him a start against Blackpool. I really want to beat Blackpool, I do, because the second half against Blackpool, that Blackpool game done my head in. Because we were really good in the first half. We just couldn't score in a brothel. And then second half, we just went kamikaze defensively. So I want to beat them 10-0 on Saturday.
Yeah. Apologies, guys. I have put some of the comments up on the screen, but there's so many in there. We'll be wrapping up now in the next couple of minutes, but I wanted to put this one on from John talking about, obviously it's a bit early, he said, to be talking about captains. He said he hoped Robertson doesn't go, but no doubt he's caught a few teams' eyes. You've caught the eye of a few teams. Yeah. He's been outstanding, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, look, mate, I could tell you some things about some of these players, like not all of them, but a lot of these players, the level of clubs that are looking at them, interested in them, trying to coax them away, inviting them to places, and like, it's crazy. But ultimately, they're all under contract at Cardiff, or the majority of them are under contract at Cardiff City. And whilst we're going in the right direction with this manager, I don't think many of those younger players will be asking to go anywhere.
No. What's your opinion on how he speaks, BBM, after games? Would you like he's all, I'm not saying lovey-dovey, but he's very softly spoken. Do you think he got a hairdryer treatment in him at all, or do you think that's not in his locker at all?
Oh, yeah, yes. I know that. He has definitely got the hairdryer in him. I forget what game it was. What was the game recently where we were absolutely dire in the first half, and then the second half we came out and we were just like different side? I forgot what it was. Oh, that's going to bug me. But anyway, I heard he had a few things to say at halftime during that game. Look, I understand why he's like that in the press conference, mate, because like Glenn was pushing him yesterday on the referee, like, and he was like, you know, did you approach him with it? Did you speak to him about it? Would you speak to him about it? You got to report it. And he was like, I've said my piece. This is like, there's no point, mate, because they send off their reports every game to the bottom referees. They pulled up hundreds of incidents throughout the season. They put in a thorough written report every week, every game, about the referee's performance. All that's going to happen if he criticizes the ref in the presser is he just gets fined or potentially banned from a touchline. It's pointless. So I kind of get it, like, but he has definitely got a bit of a streak in him, mate. Don't you worry about that. Although I think Lee Riley does a lot of the shouting, if I'm honest. But he has got it in his locker without a doubt.
Happy days. Right, before we finish off, what's your predictions for the weekend, then, my friend?
Mate, my opinion is pretty simple.
Do you know what I hate as well? Sorry to jump in. This is what I hate when I see a comment like this, and sorry, Gav, but I got to bring it up. When people say this, Blackpool have only had 3 wins in 2026, bad form. Well done, Gav.
Yeah, that's exactly what the team we lose to, isn't it? No, look, I say this, and I say this with my chest. If we are anywhere near our best on Saturday, we will win comfortably. And what I would really like to see us do now, particularly at home, a bit like what we did at Exeter and Doncaster, I'd just like to see us go blow teams away. We've got such a good squad, mate, for this level. So many players.
The first 15, 20 minutes, if we can afford to, have a go from 25, 30 yards, have a go. It's not going to affect the game the first 10, 15 minutes. Well, it potentially could, but just have a go. We're at home. Let's get the place bouncing. I wouldn't imagine it'll be ram-packed there on the weekend, 19,000, 20,000, I would imagine. But yeah, I went for a 3-0 home victory last night, and that was blown out of the water. So I'll go for 3-1 Saturday.
It's 19 or 20,000 or whatever on Saturday, but in a few weeks when we're getting promoted, tickets will be like gold dust again. And yeah, there we go. That's another story for another day. I think Cardiff will win 3-0, mate. I think in the Blackpool game particularly, I think we've got a bit of a point to prove, because I thought that second half against Blackpool was, alongside Plymouth, our worst performance of the season. It was a real outlier.
Do us a favour, guys, after the video's finished, put your predictions for the game on the weekend. Wait until the live video is finished and check the comments on the video on YouTube. That'd be much appreciated. Si, what's going on the rest of the week? But Evan and Jamie tomorrow, or is it Evan and...
I'm not sure if Jamie's going to be on. He'll let me know. As I said on my video yesterday, obviously, we send our condolences and our love to Jamie and Aaron following the loss of their father. We got their back, and we'll support them in any way they need. Tomorrow we have a look back at that first Blackpool game. That'll be out at lunchtime, and then obviously Friday we have the preview at lunchtime, and then we have the tactical showdown. Ian Evatt versus BBM. A lot of people's pick for the Cardiff City manager was Ian Evatt. I was never quite on board with that one. He's a bit of a dick, in my opinion, but it'll be interesting.
Lots going on, lots going on.
Oh, always, mate. Always loads of stuff.
If there's anybody watching tonight, Si, and they're not a member, how can they become a member of Cardiff City World, my friend?
So you can join through the YouTube channel. If you just go to the members tab, press join. It's like the price of a coffee. You get an exclusive show every week. You get early access to live event tickets, which we've got a couple coming up soon. You also get the members mailbag. So the members mailbag, you've got 2 weeks to get your questions in. You can ask anything you want, and I will answer them all in one video. That's for members only. So send it in usual places, either the email address or like Patreon. You could join patreon.com/AcePodcastNation as well, or Cardiff City World in the members tab. It doesn't matter which way around you do it. You get the same content, the same rewards, and obviously those live event tickets. I think we've got just about 110 members, and the live event tickets, there's usually between 100 and 120 to 30, depending on who it is and stuff available. So it becomes more and more important to become a member if you want live event tickets, because they're going to get harder and harder to get. And obviously they're priced very nicely as well.
Yeah, they're always good.
And we've got a big one coming as well. We've got a couple of big ones.
I was going to say, I'm not giving anything away, but yeah, the tickets won't be around for long. So if you're not a member, like you said, for the price of a cup of coffee a month, is 100% worth getting hold of. So
yeah, mate, big time. And just lastly on that one, a friend of mine who does a bit of stuff for me, he thinks that the next or this live event, there's a couple, so it might not be the next one, but one of the live events which we're on the brink of announcing will sell out quicker than Bellamy, and Bellamy sold out in about 24 hours. So yeah, be excited, mate.
It's more stress for you, but you love it.
Yeah, I know. I gotta replace all my equipment, mate. That's my problem. There we go.
Oh, ticket prices are going up, boys and girls. Yeah. Ticket prices are going up. But no, I appreciate every single one of you for tuning in this evening. Much appreciated. Hopefully, we'll be back on Saturday. I don't think Reese is about Saturday, so I think it might be Evan with me Saturday. So hopefully we're back for the 1927 podcast on Saturday, talking 3 points. But we shall wait and see. Obviously, there's plenty more on the channel to keep you guys occupied throughout the rest of the week. And we'll be back soon. Si, top man, always good to catch up with you, my friend. I shall see you soon.
Keep it faith.
This channel is powered by an incredible membership community on Cardiff City World and patreon.com/AcePodcastNation. Becoming a member unlocks exclusive rewards from early access to live event tickets, bonus content, and even the occasional inside transfer scoop when we get it. But more importantly, it allows us to bring you top quality Cardiff City content 7 days a week. Across those 7 days, we're talking match previews, exclusive interviews, instant match reactions, the breakdown podcast, tactical deep dives, the spotlight series, Bluebirds Rewind, Academy Focus, and just so much more. Led by myself, backed by an army of passionate Cardiff City fans, this is content created by fans for fans. Balanced, professional, and 100% all about the club we all love. If you enjoy what we do, then join the community today and support what we are doing as we help to keep Cardiff City World flying high.